What is up, Final fans? It is the warrior of hype. And joining me is the man, the myth, the satire weapon, Excalibro. What's up, man?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm good. I thought this would be a fun little thing to do a little mini-sode, a little mini podcast for the Final fans out there. What Final Fantasy can learn from Expedition 33? That's right. The learner has become the teacher in a way,
Oof.
in just a way,
Yes, sir.
in a way. We're going to talk about, because Final Fantasy obviously still amazing, still masterpieces, but Expedition 33 kind of was this, man, this is an amazing experience for me. So let's do surface level review real quick, like how we feel about this game. Whereas I would say, Expedition 33, if you're on the fence about this game, and by the way, this will be a spoiler-free conversation. Now, of course, not saying like there won't be some, there could be some spoilery things we're talking about as far as like level design and certain things like that. But I promise we're not going to spoil the ending, things like that. So, watch at your own, risk or whatever you want to say. If you want to come back to this video later, that's cool too. But what a experience! What a game! This game is 10 out of 10 for me. This is a masterpiece. I enjoyed every single minute from start to finish, and it is one of those games that hits close to home for me. It is one of those games that I will think about for a very, very long time, and one that I just wanted to start New Game Plus right away on. So that's where I'm at. What did you think of this game?
Man, I loved it, bro. I could echo everything that you just said. The game is gorgeous. It has its own elements that it brings to the genre, some fresh stuff that it brings to the familiar, and the writing is so good. It
Mm,
has a really great balance, between seriousness and humor. Um, the identity, the level of identity
yeah,
that it has, it is just completely separate from any other RPG you've ever played. This is a thing all its own. It's not trying to copy anything. It knows what it is,
yeah,
and it digs its heels in, and it gives you the best experience it can at being what it is. And while it's doing that, it's paying homage to all of these other things. Like, it's such a great game.
yeah.
Like, I'm being vague on purpose so that you guys can experience the glory that is Claire Obscure Expedition 33. But I mean, Dan's on point. This game is great.
Yeah.
Like,
And
this, you don't want to miss it.
the art style, again, I just got to shout that out. The art style of this game, the graphics that's my jam. Like they speak to me.
Man,
They speak to me. So speaking on what you were talking about, like saying paying homage, right? We're
yeah,
we're we're not copying it. Like Expedition 33 didn't copy the homework, right? Like Expedition 33 was inspired by is the
yeah,
best way to say. Like Final Fantasy X, you can see a lot of Final Fantasy X in this DNA here. You can see a lot of course, Persona. You can see a lot of Elden Ring and
yeah,
and Dark
yeah.
Souls in here as well. I pitched this game as almost like turn-based Dark Souls because it
Yeah.
kind of is,
I
but
that is accurate for
yeah,
sure, bro.
turn-based
Like, I
Dark
had
Souls.
that thought while I was playing it more than one time.
So yeah, there are elements here that are not like going to speak to every Final Fantasy fan out there, but I encourage you to go out and play this game. You're gonna love it. You're a Final Fantasy fan because you're tuning into Final Fan TV right now. Obviously, I can highly recommend this. I can without a doubt recommend this game. Let's talk about those paying homages, right? Let's talk about how this game honors Final Fantasy and does a lot of the stuff of classic Final Fantasy and does it really, really, really well. Now, the first thing that people are going to think about, turn-based. People are going to go right to
Yes.
saying, "Oh, you think Final Fantasy needs to go back to turn-based?" And I'm gonna start that off and say that's actually not even on my notes.
Oh, that was a question. I
There's a
literally
question.
have
Yeah.
that in here. Yes. This is my burning question, Mr. Warrior of Hype.
Yeah.
Every fan has thought about this since the merest whisper of Final Fantasy 17, right? Just the idea of Final Fantasy 17. The
Hmm.
question is, does Final Fantasy need to go back to turn-based? What's your
Um,
hype? I mean, you see
honestly,
this game, you
yeah.
can't help but think, yeah.
It's an so there's the identity thing about this, right? So Final Fantasy can be whatever it wants to be. Final Fantasy 17 could be a turn-based game with a world map and all that other stuff, just like Expedition 33. They could go like, oh, yo, that worked for Expedition 33. Let's do that. Let's do it. We are the masters. We can do it. Um, and I would love it. I would be like, yeah, absolutely, freaking awesome, Final Fantasy 17. But I wouldn't necessarily say that it is something that needs to happen. For me, I love Final Fantasy 16. I loved what they did there. I love the scope of that game, and I think yeah, they should keep on going for that AAA like insane scale, and the icon versus icon stuff like that was just mind blowing. I think Final Fantasy 16 stumbled on the depth of the battle system, the strategy of
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
And yeah, and like it's like when you go in to Expedition 33, you're like, oh, this is why I love
Yes.
classic Final Fantasy. This is why I love this combat system. This is why I love turn-based, is that there is this layer of depth and strategy like to winning these fights. Expedition 33 throws in the skill. So we are combining Final Fantasy 16, which is very skill-based combat. It's
Mhm.
not it's actually, I wouldn't even say skill based. I would say it's stylish based combat, which I
That's
don't
fair.
think should be really associated with Final Fantasy. And don't get me wrong, I love Final Fantasy 16, but there was that missing layer there. So does it need
Yeah.
to be turn based? I don't know. Could be. Yes. I don't care. Final Fantasy 7 Remake's battle system is one of the greatest battle systems in video games, and that's not turn
Yes.
based. So maybe that
Man,
answers your
you're
question.
yes, it does.
Okay.
So I am right there with you. I don't think it needs to be turn-based. I think you could adapt Rebirth's combat, give it its own identity, unique to whatever Final Fantasy 17 is, build on what's working, right? But can they do turn-based? Yeah, they could do turn-based. They could totally do turn-based. But
Hmm.
then if they do turn-based, now that we have seen Expedition 33, they better deliver Xenogears Reborn, right? Combo input, special moves baked in, because E33 is essentially a hyper polished persona metaphor in terms of turn based, right?
Hmm.
And if Square isn't going to copy that, which I don't think they should not copy it, then they should focus on things that they've done that worked and iterate on that.
Yeah. You can see the enemies out in the field. But not only
Mhm.
that, of course, you can see that in Final Fantasy, but they don't attack you. In
Yeah,
Expedition 33, they charge at you, man. Like
they're aggressive.
they're
Yeah,
aggressive. They're gonna get you in this random encounter because they want you to make it feel like it's a, oh man, I actually freaking turned around and ran into a enemy. But guess what? That's classic Final Fantasy. Classic random
yeah.
battle there where these enemies are aggressive. And that brings me into my next bullet point. And honestly,
Mhm.
this is a bullet point in bold. Like this is
Let's
bold
hear it.
letters, maybe even increase the font size up a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Stop holding my hand. Like
Okay.
Expedition
Yeah.
33 does not hold your hand. And then I would, as I'm playing this game, right? All right. So this is the reason why I really wanted to have the conversation, because Final Fantasy needs to learn this lesson to me, in my opinion. I'm playing Expedition 33, and at first I'm like, oh man, no mini map? That's weird. Like at
Mm,
first I was kind of like, man, I'm kind of lost. I don't know where I've been in this dungeon a little bit. Little lost. Not never like aggressive or not frustratingly lost, but I'm like, man, I don't know where I'm going. Mini map would be nice where I can actually see where I've been. The more I played, I was like, no, no, no. No. This is not how this is not the way it's supposed to be,
yes.
right? Like, or this is the way it's supposed to be, where I'm I'm experiencing that, like that rush, that dopamine, that excitement
Yes.
of discovery on my
Yes.
own. I'm exploring all of these locations, and not only am I exploring these beautiful environments that are I want to see what's around the corner, if only just to see this beautiful painting of a frame. Like I can pause the game anywhere and it's beautiful.
Mm,
But I cut the corner, and holy crap, what the heck is that? It's like
yeah.
this enemy that is like goofy enemy. Like I can say this because it's in the first chapter of Expedition 33. There's a mime in this game. Like you can find these mimes throughout the dungeons,
Yes.
and I'm like, oh my god, that's actually kind of scary. Like, I was like, whoa, what did I just stumble into? But what did I just stumble into? Is the question. Like that's the quote. What did I just stumble into? And that's like,
Yeah.
oh man, the joy of discovery that and these dungeons, these level layouts are interesting, exciting to explore. They never felt mundane or and like I'm not taking shots. I don't want this video to be taking shots. I want this video to be like a critique. Like, hey, learn. You can learn from Expedition 33 here, but the level design in Expedition 33 has been leaps and bounds more enjoyable for me than
Yes.
the level design of any dungeon in Rebirth.
Man.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to just keep repeating the same points that you're making.
Mhm.
So I'm going to add to this and say that what makes having no mini map great, what makes the joy of discovery great, what makes the level design great is this combination of exploration and reward. I
Yes.
mean, dude, holy guacamole, bro. I don't remember I don't remember the last time I played a game that had so many nooks, crannies, cracks, crevices to explore and rewarded you for
Hmm.
searching. It feels like it rewards you for searching all of them, right?
Yeah.
There's just stuff everywhere in this game. And the best way I can think to describe it is like a tasteful collectathon. You're
Mhm.
not collecting Sonic rings everywhere, but it rewards you for going out and seeing what's over there. There are so many things to see, so many paths to take. It's like Dan said, you will get lost.
Yeah.
Um,
But in a fun way, like in a healthy
Well,
way. Yeah.
and in a rewarding way, you're going to find something at the end. You're going to find a mini. I'm going to call them a mini super boss because there's so many of them and they
Hmm.
are tough. But
Yeah.
you always get a good reward,
And and
right?
and another thing on top of that, right? You find like these bosses, and sometimes you'll stumble upon a boss who's just going to absolutely wipe the floor with you, and
Yeah,
you're like, okay, well, you can either be freaking, you can get good, right? Well, this is a skill based thing. Like, I'm not saying Final Fantasy needs to learn that. Like, they don't need to do the dodging and parrying, even though it's an amazing system. But you can, in this game, in Expedition 33, you can do a no hit run and win the game. Like you
yeah, oh
can,
yeah,
it gives you that capability of being able to parry every single thing. So you can beat this boss who's absolutely going to wipe the floor with you if they get a shot on you. But let's just say you're not like the greatest Dark Souls player ever, and you're not gonna get every parry. So if you make one mistake, this boss wipes you, and it's like, all right, I know that I need to come back later when I've leveled up, and I'll see you again. There's no marker, there's no indicator, there's no map, there's nothing that's going to remind you about this, but you have to remember to do it. And
yep,
again, let go of my hand. Let me, let me explore that. Let me feel like this is my adventure. I think this was one thing about Final Fantasy doing those checklists, right? Where I would
mm,
love to see Part 3 just get rid of that. But not saying get rid of side quests. I'm saying get rid of letting me know that there are side quests. Get rid of the notice board. Let me talk to these NPCs. Let me say, oh, I talked to an NPC and they gave me a side quest. I'm gonna go do it. Um,
yeah.
I think
Allow the space for it to happen organically.
yes, let it, and that's I think that's Expedition 30. That's a beautiful word for it. Expedition 33 allows this stuff to happen organically. Like my adventure felt super organic to like how I was adventuring, like how I wanted to do things. When that
Yeah,
world map starts opening up for you, the more like exploration options you get, you start to feel like, oh my god, there's so much stuff to do. I'm gonna go here. Oh nope, I don't belong here. I gotta come back to that later. And like there's so many different places. Like where am I gonna go? That
Yeah.
exploration was so good, but that whole like unlocking new ways to travel is another thing that I think Final Fantasy can, or new
Yes.
ways to explore. So there's even God of War things in here, by the way, where you know, like if God of War, you ring the bells and you can open the treasure chest. There's things
Hmm.
like that you could do that, but if you do enough, or if you that's not actually related to that. There was one that's related to it, but I don't want to give anything away. But it's like you can unlock an ability that can break a certain rock, and I'm like, it's almost Metroidvania, where I'm like, oh, okay, I remember those rocks like back in these old
Yeah.
levels. Let me go back and do that.
You've been
I like
seeing
that.
them from the beginning of the game, and then suddenly you get the ability to
Yeah,
break them, and it's like, oh man, I have to revisit every area.
yeah, I gotta go back.
Like,
Imagine,
yeah,
imagine you
man,
were playing Rebirth or Part 3. You imagine you're playing Part 3 and like you stumble upon a cliff that's super high up, and you're just like, there's something up there, but I can't get to it. What's up with that? You unlock Sid. Sid can do the super. He can do the jump, the dragoon jump. He can get you up there. So like you have this, this ability to do things like that. But yeah, I don't know. You go ahead. But basically, like just
yeah,
letting go of the hand was so rewarding in this game for me.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was just a great touch. It really felt like an homage to the older Final Fantasy games where you just had to go out and figure it out,
Yep.
you know?
Yes.
And there's really something to be said for that. So let's see, what do we got on here next? The next big one I have, this is really simple. Let's just talk about the juice.
Yeah.
Oomph. It's a real thing, and it's a major element that Expedition 33 gets right. I was talking to one of my good friends. I'm going to call him B-Boy Snake Dog G. He knows who he is. And it's that element of that slow down and boom during combat. The perfect
Ooh.
example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every hit has impact and significance. Counterattacks are just so rewarding. Like in the
Yeah.
moment, you get that bullet time slowdown, you get whoosh, crash. The audio is finely tuned, and then big
Mm-hmm.
damage numbers, obviously. And all this happens on the enemy turn. It's this massive reward
Mm-hmm.
for getting that skill input. Everything just comes together to make you feel powerful. And how a game feels, right, can be really underrated. Like I think a lot of developers look at it in terms of, well, it's just the visuals, or it's just this, or if we get the music right, or if we frame the cutscene or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, every single battle in
Yeah.
Expedition 33 feels like a scene out of the Matrix, and you're watching it 100 times, and it doesn't get old. When you finish combat, you get a slowdown of whatever move you finished with and whatever phase of the move you finished with, because some moves have multiple hits in the combo, and
Mm-hmm.
whoever did the mocap for the every hit
Yeah.
is flashy. So no matter where it ends, it's cool. I mean, the game is just oozing this kind of juice,
Yeah.
just oozing this visual and audio charisma that so many games just don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Give me that boom pow. Just give me the juice. Like,
I like that.
so
That boom
it's a
pow. So like
that
with
boom pow.
so like this is talking about Final Fantasy 17. It could be like I don't know if Part 3 can do that, but I do like how in Rebirth and the remake trilogy and stuff like that, where we do have these synergy attacks now in Rebirth, where it's like
Yeah.
there's the flashiness of it, but now add the boom pow, right? Like give
Add
me
the boom pow.
add the boom
Yeah.
pow. So we're
I mean,
yeah
16 had a little bit of that, right?
yeah
With the counter and stuff
yeah.
like that, but not on the same level,
It's
you
right.
know.
Yeah, you're right.
There
You're right.
there's a threshold that once you hit it,
Yeah,
it stands apart, bro. It just stands apart. And just give me some juice. Learn the juice, use the juice.
I like that.
Every game can learn that lesson. So many of them are doing it right, and that's why they stand out in the genre.
Mhm.
But this is something that really, for me, um, was a big deal, and so it had to be a bullet on my list. So
Yeah, I like that, dude. And Centurion's watching live right now as we pre-record this. And so shout out to Centurion, who's a Final Fantasy TV party member, which means you are a party member right there on YouTube where you can join in. and you get to watch this do these recorded videos. So Centurion, thank you so much for that. I like how you brought in. I don't like how Rebirth doesn't have a traditional fog of war. It might be grayed out, but you can still see the land formations. Now, this is what I'm talking about. You're talking about when you bring them the world map, and you can't unclear the all of the fog of war, which drives me insane.
Yeah.
But I think that's might be on purpose. It might be like, hey, when you get part 3 though, you'll be able to fly around and do all this stuff. Now this is where I look at that and I see all of the grayed out areas, but give me something like in Expedition 33 where, man, there was freaking floating islands that like, oh,
Yeah.
let me see what's up
Yeah.
here. And they're like, oh, there's something up here. Of course there's something up here. You got super bosses on the world map. You could do that with Final Fantasy VII Part 3. You can do like, hey, here's Junon. It was on the cliffside. You couldn't see what was up on the mountains there, but once I get my high wind, if I'm able to fly around, I can look down and see, oh my god, what is that? Let me go down there and land there, and either I see a boss or I see, wait a second, there's a hole in the little cliff there. What's that? Let me land my high wind, go there. It's a secret dungeon. This kind of stuff would be amazing. But I'm afraid that if they keep up with with the Rebirth stuff, it would be like indicator right here
Yeah.
is the side
They're gonna let you
quest.
know.
Yeah, this is the side quest. Go do it. It's up here. Where I would rather it be, let me find that on my own. So that would be definitely one big thing that Rebirth could, or FF7R could learn from Expedition 33. We go back to 17, Final Fantasy 17, and yeah, turn-based, like we talked about. Yay, nay, whatever. I don't care. I bet it's going to be great. But when it comes to this, man, Expedition 33 bringing back that world map, I'm like, oh, wait a second. I do really, really love this. I really,
Yeah.
really love this. That would be one of those things where I'm like, Final Fantasy doesn't quite have it down in the modern era, like where Final Fantasy 15 did a more fully open world in a way, like you
Mhm.
got the whole
Right.
area continent or that section of the continent to drive your car around and you can explore. And Final Fantasy 15 did do, like, to its credit, I really, really enjoyed 15. One of my top favorite Final Fantasies. And I love that they even had that secret dungeon, which, by the way, one of the best dungeons in Final Fantasy. You bring in these secret dungeons that have a gimmick, that have, like, the shock factor, the fun. But either way, what I'm trying to say is 15 didn't quite have it down, but they did have an open world that
Mhm.
mimicked a world map in a way. 16 brought it back, and 16 didn't have very many interesting things to do at all in its open world.
Yeah.
So it's like the beauty of the world map isn't just, oh, I'm super gigantic and abnormally proportioned to the next area. The beauty of it is that you can cram all of these spectacular locations in a small space, and then you could be like,
Yes.
there's a city over there. Let me walk over to that city, which is only going to take me like a couple seconds to go over to it. Boom, there's something over there. It's just, God, dude.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
world map just lets you have more points of interest per capita than a dungeon. Like you could just have stuff everywhere.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And I mean, but don't get me wrong. I mean, Expedition 33 has stuff everywhere in the dungeons too. You know, this is
Yep.
kind of like a have your cake and eat it too.
Man, I had my cake
Um,
and I ate it. As far as story goes, this is something I've been preaching for a long time. Man, 16 or Expedition 33 lets the moment breathe.
yeah, it does.
This They tell the story supremely good. Um I can't, obviously I leave it there. I can't really talk about that
Yeah.
without spoilers, but they really let moments breathe.
And I think Expedition 33 proves that it's still possible to walk the line of absurdism and gravitas with just like absolute grace.
Yeah.
Like the gestuals, there's meme worthy content all over this game.
It really
And then at the
is. Yeah.
same and then you will listen to an audio log that is absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
Like you know, all in the same breath. And Final Fantasy, I feel like used to do that. So they know how to do that. It's in their DNA. And
And it's never Dio flexing over dead bodies like ridiculous.
right.
It's never Palmer smacking his ass. You know, it's always
The humor is heartwarming in a way, right?
yeah,
Like
right. It's heartwarming
it feels
humor. Yeah,
so
yeah,
my
like
last point,
yeah.
party-based design. Give me a playable
Mm,
party. No more AI companions, no gambits. The only paradigm shift I want is to see a shift
the pair.
back towards the stacked party of protagonists. We're gonna go back to the cake. Let's carve them cakes up
Yeah,
wholesale with the party,
yo,
right?
back at
Like,
camp, like being able to speak to your party at camp was awesome. I love that
yes.
stuff. Yeah. Being able to
Like
interact with your party, 100%.
I just want a party. Like it's great to play as
It's
Clive. Let me play, you
yeah,
know. Come on,
it's
there's some opportunities in there, you know.
it's really interesting that like it's basically like yeah expedition 33 is like when we say this stuff it's just expeditions like yeah I like we were just looking at Final Fantasy like that's what Final Fantasy does but yeah
Yeah,
it's
they were looking further back though,
yeah
you know, and
exactly
that's kind of what we're talking about is the
mm.
best of Final Fantasy. That's what that's what Expedition 33 is, man.
It
It is the
is
best of. It is such a great homage to all of the things that we loved.
it's really funny because like as we talk about this if we're talking about like oh it's the past Final Fantasy it's almost hypocritical for me where I'm like yeah my top five is pretty much all modern Final Fantasy but like
Yeah.
it is actually kind of funny when I think about that
Man,
but
I
it's
understand that. And I
yeah
mean, Rebirth is sort of immune to a lot of these critiques because Rebirth is doing a lot of this stuff. Like,
yeah. Well, Rebirth is doing a lot of this stuff, and that's why I've like throughout this video, I've been trying to like throw in like, hey, part three still has, there's still a part three, and there's still this opportunity for them to make a game that is like, oh, this is distinctively like Final Fantasy, you know,
yeah,
whereas like they've been looking for a way to make this happen. They've been looking for a way with Rebirth. They did a great job with their open world in Rebirth. And now is their chance to say, okay, now we can do let's make the core concept of part 3 the joy of discovery. Like
mm,
like
yeah,
the cuz really that was kind of the biggest bullet point for me was stop holding my hand and let me allow organically. I love the way you said that. It just organically unfold. Part 3 has that opportunity. There's a lot of different branching paths that can happen in part 3 according to player decisions and stuff like that. Because if you think about the original game, the player gets to kind of decide on how they go about that. I mean, it's obvious it's linear, but there's branching paths in order to get to that. And yeah, I think part 3 has a unique opportunity to be a completely different game in the trilogy, and just as Rebirth was a completely different game in this trilogy, as
yeah.
apart from remake. So this trilogy can be like cohesive, but every entry is different. I think that's awesome,
Mm.
and we can learn from this Expedition 33 doing a lot of the things that classic Final Fantasy has done, and just bringing it into the modern day and just reminding us all of how much we love this genre, how much we love classic Final Fantasy. We love Final Fantasy in general. With Final Fantasy, like I'm looking on the horizon at Final Fantasy 17. That's going to be another topic for another day. But like, it's okay. What does Final Fantasy 17 look like? I personally do not want them to reinvent the wheel again because then we're going to
Yeah,
be waiting 10 years for the next one. Where it's just like,
I'm with
yo,
you.
you have a great foundation with what 16 set up. Now, party, the joy of discovery, and like elemental strengths, weaknesses, layer of strategy, and stuff like that. You bring all that
Yes.
stuff in that you learned from Expedition 33. I'm giving them the credit, but it's like you know, but it's like you
Yeah,
know, this is where I'm at with that. In 17, you could bring back a world map. I think
please.
if there's anything that Expedition 33 in particular did that can teach Final Fantasy is like, hey, remember world maps? Like how you guys we've been struggling with world maps since Final Fantasy X. Like we don't know how to
Yeah.
Final Fantasy doesn't know how to handle world maps in the modern era. And then Expedition 33 is like, we got you. We did it.
Yep. It all comes down to the maps with Dan.
So it does
I love
actually.
it.
It does, doesn't it? World maps. But I hope you enjoyed this full-on podcast. One thing I just gotta drive home, and this might be a little too late for all the commenters. We love Final Fantasy. All right, we're not ragging on Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 16, one of my favorite games of all time. Okay, there's this thing when you love something, you critique it a little bit more. And drawing comparisons to Expedition 33, we understand it's been done before. It's been done by many games, but Expedition 33 is the game. All right, it's the game. Check it out. And yeah, I think that's good. Check out our videos on Summer Game Fest predictions. Go check them out. And I want to say thank you for watching this podcast. I hope you're playing Expedition 33. There you go. Take care
Oh
now.
yeah.
Bye bye then.